Hey warrior, stop scrolling for just a second. Right now, in this exact moment, something inside you is tired. Tired of explaining yourself. Tired of defending your choices. Tired of reacting to every voice that doesn't matter. You feel it, don't you? That quiet ache beneath the noise. That whisper telling you there has to be more strength than this endless talking, this endless proving. There is. And you're about to remember who the hell you really are. Most people live loud on the outside and fragile on the inside. They announce their workouts before they happen. They post their pain the second it arrives. They argue with strangers in comment sections. They beg the world to understand them, to approve them, to finally see them. And every time they open their mouth to justify, to complain, to explain why they're late, why they failed, why they're hurting, they leak power. They hand their peace over like loose change. Then there are the others. The quiet ones. The dangerous ones. The ones who don't announce the storm, they become the storm. They don't explain the grind. They let the results do the talking. They don't defend their name, they protect their mind. You already know which one you were born to be. But somewhere along the way, life taught you to speak when you should have acted, to react when you should have observed, to chase applause when you should have chased mastery. Today that ends. Today we burn the script. 3 brutal Stoic rules are about to rebuild your mind, your body, and your heart. Not with hype, not with temporary fire, but with the ancient, unbreakable steel that carried emperors through war, prisoners through chains, and everyday men and women through the darkest nights of the soul. Rule 1. Never explain your silence, ever. Rule 2. Let your actions be so loud that words become irrelevant. Rule 3. Control the space between the event and your response. That is where your entire life is. Decided. Let me take you into a story so you feel this in your bones. His name was Elias, 37 years old, married 12 years, 2 little girls. A small construction business he built from nothing. He woke up every morning at 4:45, kissed his sleeping wife, made coffee strong enough to wake the dead, and went to war with the day before the sun even thought about rising. Then, one Tuesday, the phone rang. The bank, the investor pulled out. The biggest contract of his life gone. 6 figures vanished overnight. Employees looking at him for answers. Creditors circling. His wife crying in the kitchen because the house payment was due in 9 days. That night he sat on the back porch staring at nothing. His mind screamed, "Call someone, post about it. Tell the world how unfair this is. Scream at the investor, blame the economy. Explain to everyone why this happened to a good man." He almost did. Then something ancient stirred inside him. He remembered his grandfather, a man who survived a war, lost everything twice, and never once complained. A man who used to say, "Son, the world doesn't owe you an explanation, and you don't owe the world one either." Elias closed his eyes and heard a voice not his own, but deeper, calmer. What is in your control right now? Not the investor, not the contract, not the money that disappeared. Only his next decision. So he made it. He walked inside, poured his wife a glass of water, held her while she shook, and whispered, "We're going to be okay. Not because it's fair, but because I decide we are." The next morning he didn't post a victim story. He didn't call 10 friends to vent. He didn't explain to anyone why life was cruel. He woke up at 4:15 instead of 4:45. He opened his notebook and wrote down every single thing he could control. His effort, his honesty, his willingness to work harder than ever before, his temperance with money, his courage to make the hard calls. Then he started making them. He met with every employee personally, looked them in the eye, told them the truth without drama. Some left, most stayed. He cold called 50 new leads that week. 50, with a knot in his stomach and a fire in his chest. He stopped eating out, stopped scrolling, stopped drinking. Not forever, just until the ship stopped sinking. His wife watched him transform in real time. The man who used to get defensive when she questioned his long hours now answered with calm certainty, "I'm handling what I can handle. The rest will reveal itself." People started talking. They screwed Elias over. "He's done. Poor guy." He heard the whispers. He felt the temptation to set the record straight, to tell his side, to make sure everyone knew he wasn't the failure they assumed. Every time the urge came, he asked himself one question the Stoics burned into history. Is this necessary? And every time the answer was no. So he stayed silent. He let the rumors float like smoke. He let people assume whatever comforted them. Their opinions were not his emergency. Weeks turned into months. He rebuilt the business brick by brick. Smaller contracts at first, then bigger ones. He paid every creditor himself. He never declared bankruptcy. He never played the victim card. 2 years later, he stood in the same kitchen where his wife once cried, and he handed her the paid-off mortgage papers. She looked at him with tears again, this time different ones. "How?" she asked. He smiled, exhausted, unshaken, unbreakable. "I stopped explaining," he said, "and I started becoming. That is the difference." One man drowns in the storm because he's too busy yelling about the rain. The other becomes the rock the storm breaks against. You decide which one you are. Let's go deeper. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, not the emperor on the throne, but the man alone in his tent on the frozen frontier, writing to himself by candlelight while his armies froze and traitors plotted against him. He didn't leak his pain to the Senate. He didn't post status updates about how hard it was to rule the known world while everyone wanted him dead. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line wasn't for likes. It was for survival, and it still works today. When your boss humiliates you in a meeting, when your ex moves on faster than physics should allow, when the scale doesn't move after weeks of discipline, when the algorithm buries your work, when the doctor says the word no one wants to hear, there is a gap, a tiny, sacred gap between what happens and how you respond. Most people live their entire lives without ever noticing that gap exists. They react instantly, they text paragraphs, they subtweet, they rage, they crumble. But in that gap lives your freedom. The Stoics called it prohairesis, the faculty of choice. Modern science calls it the prefrontal cortex. I call it the throne room of your soul. And right now, you are the only one allowed to sit on it. Every time you choose silence over explanation, you strengthen the kingdom. Every time you choose the gym over the excuse, you fortify the walls. Every time you choose to get up after life knocks you down without telling the whole internet about it, you crown yourself. This is not suppression. This is sovereignty. Let me say that again. Keeping your struggles private is not weakness. It is strategy. The oak tree doesn't announce how deep its roots go when the storm comes. It just stands. The lion doesn't roar every time another animal looks at him wrong. He saves it for when it matters. You are not required to educate every fool who misunderstands you. You are not required to correct every false narrative. You are not required to prove your worth to people who never valued you in the first place. Your life is the proof. Your body slowly transforming in the 5 a.m. darkness. That's the proof. Your bank account climbing while everyone thought you were finished. That's the proof. Your peace in the middle of chaos while everyone else is losing their minds, that's the proof. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them be wrong. One day they will watch you walk across a stage, or hold your child, or bury your demons, or build something beautiful, and they will feel it in their gut. He never said much, but look what he did. That moment tastes better than any comeback ever could. Now let's bring this home. I want you to feel the weight lift off your shoulders right now. All the explanations you owe no one. All the defenses you no longer need. All the validation you've been chasing from people who can't even validate themselves. Let it go. Breathe out the noise. Breathe in the power. From this moment forward, you adopt the 3 brutal rules. Rule 1. Never explain your silence. When they ask why you disappeared from social media, why you stopped arguing, why you don't celebrate small wins out loud, smile and keep walking. Silence is not absence, it is presence concentrated. Rule 2. Let your actions be so loud that words become irrelevant. The world will measure you by what you finish, not what you announce. Start before you're ready. Finish when they said you couldn't. Do it quietly. Do it relentlessly. Do it until the evidence is undeniable. Rule 3. Master the gap between stimulus and response, between betrayal and bitterness, between failure and defeat. In that gap is your power to choose who you become. Widen it, guard it, rule from it. Warrior, your life is not a press conference, it is a battlefield. And the strongest soldiers don't waste breath telling the enemy their plan. They execute. So stand up right now, yes, physically stand up. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your heart still beating. Feel the fire that brought you here. This is not the end of your story. This is the page where the quiet hero rises. No more explaining. No more defending. No more performing your pain for an audience that doesn't deserve the show. From this day forward, you move in silence. You build in private. You heal without announcement. You level up without permission. And when they finally notice the transformation, when they ask how you did it, when they beg for the secret, you will simply smile, because some things are not explained. They are lived. Now go. The world is waiting for what you will become when you stop talking about who you are. Be unstoppable. I'll see you at the top quietly. You already know something is dying inside you. The need to be understood by people who never tried to understand themselves. The addiction to explaining why you're quiet, why you're grinding, why you disappeared, why you're not celebrating yet, why you didn't answer that text fast enough. Every explanation is a drop of your lifeblood spilled on the floor for strangers to step over. No more. Today we bury that version of you 6 feet deep and pour concrete over the grave. 3 brutal Stoic rules will rebuild your mind, your body, and your heart from the ground up. Rule 1. Never explain your silence, ever. Rule 2. Let your actions be so loud that words become irrelevant. Rule 3. Control the space between what happens and what you do about it. That gap is your kingdom. Defend it with your life. Most people never learn these rules. They live loud on the outside and hollow on the inside. They announce the book before chapter 1 is written. They post the gym selfie before the weight feels heavy. They live stream the breakdown so the world can comfort them instead of fixing it. And every time they open their mouth to justify, to defend, to beg for understanding, they hand their power away like cheap cigarettes. Then there are the others, the quiet ones, the dangerous ones, the ones who move like ghosts until the results hit like thunder. You were born to be one of them. Let me prove it to you, with blood and bone stories you'll carry for the rest of your life. Story 1. Elias and the empire that almost crumbled. I already told you about Elias, the builder who lost everything in one phone call, but I only gave you the highlight reel. Here's what really happened in the dark. Night 3 after the collapse. 3:17 a.m. He's sitting on the bathroom floor so he doesn't wake his wife and daughters, forehead pressed against cold tile, tears mixing with sweat. The kind of crying where no sound comes out because your body is too tired to make noise. His mind is a riot. I told everyone this contract was locked. I look like a fool. I have to post something, explain, control the narrative. I should call my dad, my best friend, anyone who will tell me it's not my fault. He reaches for his phone, thumb hovering. Then he hears it, not a voice from heaven, not some movie moment. Just a memory of his grandfather dragging him to the woods when he was 8 years old after he got beat up at school. The old man didn't hug him, didn't tell him words don't hurt. He handed him an axe and pointed at a dead tree. Hit it until you're not mad anymore, boy. Trees don't care about your story. They only fall when the work is done. 8-year-old Elias swung until his hands bled. When he dropped the axe, his grandfather finally spoke. People will always talk. Let them. Your job is to become someone their words can't reach. 30 years later, on that bathroom floor, Elias put the phone down. He didn't post. He didn't call. He didn't explain. He stood up, splashed water on his face, and walked into the garage. Turned on one light. Opened his notebook. Page 1. What is mine to control today? He wrote for 90 minutes straight. Every fear, every possible action, every promise to his daughters he would die before breaking. Then he went to work while the world slept. 6 months in, an old client called. Heard you're struggling. Need anything? Elias smiled into the phone. Appreciate you, brother. I'm good. Click. He never took the bailout. Never played the victim card. Never updated his LinkedIn with open to opportunities, sob stories. 2.5 years later, he bought the building next door cash, threw a barbecue for his team, no speeches, just meat, music, and paid off trucks in the parking lot. People still whisper, how did he do it? He just smiles and changes the subject. That is the power of unexplained silence. Story 2. Maya, the runner who lost her legs but never her stride. Boston suburb. Maya is 29, former Division I track star turned high school coach, legs like pistons. Smile that makes teenagers believe they can fly. One February morning, she wakes up with numbness in her toes. Doctors call it transverse myelitis. 2 weeks later, she can't feel anything below her chest. 6 weeks later, she's in a wheelchair staring at metal that will never run again. Her Instagram used to be fire, sunrise sprints, race medals, motivational captions. The first month she posted everything. The hospital bed, the tears, the why me reels, the GoFundMe. The comments poured in thousands of hearts, crying emojis. You're so strong. But the stronger the comments got, the weaker she felt. One night, she wheeled to the window at 2 a.m. Watching snow fall on the track where she used to own the 400 meters. She opened her phone to post again, thumb hovering. Then she remembered Epictetus, a slave whose leg was deliberately broken by his master. When it snapped, he supposedly looked up and said, "You will shatter it." When it shattered, he smiled and said, "Did I not tell you?" Not anger, not bargaining. Acceptance with a blade in it. Maya deleted the app that night. She told her mother, "No more updates, no more inspiration porn. If I come back, it won't be for likes." For 18 months, nobody heard from her. No posts, no interviews, no overcoming disability TED Talk circuit. Behind closed doors, she cried rivers. She threw water bottles at walls. She screamed into pillows until her throat bled. But every morning at 5 a.m., she wheeled to her basement and trained like the Paralympics were tomorrow and hell was today. Hand cycle until her shoulders burned, core work until she vomited, meditation until the rage turned into fuel. She learned to fall out of her chair and get back in without help. She learned to cook one-handed when her arms gave out. She learned to laugh again, not for the camera, but because some days the absurdity was the only sane response. 2 years later, she rolled to the starting line of the Boston Marathon hand cycle division. No announcement, no training montage posted. Just her, the chair, and the road. She won. The announcer didn't even have her story ready because nobody knew she was coming. After the race, a reporter shoved a mic in her face. "Maya, people haven't heard from you in years. What happened?" She wiped sweat, looked straight into the camera, and said 4 words, "I had work to do." Then she wheeled away. That is rule 2 in human form. Actions so loud the world goes deaf trying to catch up. Story 3. Seneca in exile, and the modern CEO who lived it. Seneca, richest man in Rome, advisor to Nero, philosopher king, was accused of treason and banished to Corsica, a living death. Stripped of wealth, status, friends, most men would have written open letters, plotted revenge, cursed the gods. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius instead, quiet letters. Private letters that somehow survived 2,000 years. In one he says, I'm paraphrasing because I want you to feel it, not memorize it. I smile because I finally have time to become who I pretended to be when I was busy being important. Fast forward to 2023. Alex, 42-year-old tech CEO, company valued at $1.8 billion. On the cover of magazines, private jets, the whole illusion. One Tuesday the board fires him. Public statement, differences in vision. Translation, the new investors wanted a puppet, not a founder. Stock tanks 42% overnight. Twitter explodes. What did Alex do? Insider trading? Me too? The rumors were creative. His phone lit up with fake concern from people who never called when he was on top. He could have lawyered up, done the interview circuit, dropped a tell-all podcast. That's what everyone expected. That's what his PR team begged for. Instead, he sent one text to his inner circle: radio silence for now, love you. Then he disappeared. No social media, no statements, no victimhood. He moved his family to a small town in Colorado, rented a modest house, started waking at 4 a.m. to chop wood, actually chop wood, because his new neighbor bet him he couldn't split a cord in under 2 hours. He read the Stoics by firelight. He hiked 14ers with his teenage son, who was angry at the world for humiliating his dad. They didn't talk much on those hikes. They just breathed thin air and watched the sun burn the mountains gold. 9 months later, Alex launched a new company. Tiny team, no press release, bootstrapped. 18 months after that, it hit a quiet $100 million in revenue. One day, a journalist tracked him down at a coffee shop. "Alex, the world thought you were finished. What happened?" He stirred his coffee slowly. "I stopped performing my life and started living it." That is Rule 3 lived out loud. The gap between the blade and the throat is where legends are forged. Story 4. The night I almost broke my own rules. I'm not going to pretend I'm above this. I've broken these rules before. Hard. I lost everything I thought defined me. Business collapsed. Reputation dragged. Friends vanished. I sat in a cheap hotel room with $83 in my checking account, staring at a blank screen, fingers itching to write the mother of all "here's my side" threads. I was one click away from spilling 3,000 words of justification that would have felt like heroin for 12 hours and regret for 12 years. Instead, I closed the laptop, opened a notebook, and wrote one sentence in the middle of the page: "If I explain this pain, I marry it forever." Then I tore the page out, burned it in the sink, and went for a walk in the rain with no phone. 6 hours later, I came back soaked, shivering, and free. That night, I started rebuilding. No announcements, no comeback teaser, just work in the dark. 2 years later, I stood on a stage in front of 5,000 people, and not one of them knew the hotel room, the $83, or the night I almost sold my future for temporary sympathy. Your scars don't need a microphone, they need a mission. The Daily War: how this looks when the cameras are off. Wake up tomorrow. Your alarm is the enemy's first attack. Most people hit snooze and reach for their phone, already explaining to the world why they deserve 10 more minutes. You swing your legs out of bed and plant your feet like you're claiming territory. You don't post day 1. You don't tell your group chat. You just move. You drink water like it's medicine. You train like the old you is chasing you with a knife. You work like someone is watching who will never praise you. You eat clean not for the mirror selfie, but because a warrior fuels the machine, not the ego. When someone disrespects you at work, you feel the heat rise. Old you would craft the perfect comeback. New you smiles, nods, and doubles the output they said was impossible. When the ex posts a new relationship photo 3 weeks after the breakup, you feel the knife twist. Old you would subtweet or drunk text. New you close the app, open your journal, write "thank you for the clarity," then go crush a workout that makes yesterday's version of you look lazy. When the scale doesn't move, when the bank account looks ugly, when the doctor's report isn't what you prayed for, you return to the gap. You ask 3 questions the Stoics tattooed on their souls. What is in my control? What is my next right action? Can I do it with excellence and kindness? Then you execute, quietly, relentlessly. The final fire. Listen to me now, warrior. The world is loud because it is terrified of silence. People explain because they're afraid of being misunderstood. They react because they're afraid of being irrelevant. They chase validation because deep down they doubt their own worth. You are done with that life. From this moment forward, you adopt the ancient code. You will speak with your hands calloused from work no one saw. You will speak with your eyes calm in storms that used to drown you. You will speak with your scars, proof that you survived what was meant to finish you. And when people finally notice the transformation, when they see the body carved from discipline, the peace that doesn't make sense, the success that arrived without announcement, they will ask the question you no longer answer: how? Your silence will be the loudest sermon ever preached. You will simply live the truth that Marcus whispered to himself 2,000 years ago on a battlefield, while everyone around him panicked. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That is your destiny, not to be understood, not to be celebrated early, not to be liked by everyone, but to be unbreakable. So, stand up right now, wherever you are. Roll your shoulders back. Feel the weight of every excuse you're dropping today. This is the moment the old you dies. No eulogy, no social media funeral, just quiet, ferocious forward motion. Move in. Silence. Build in private. Heal without witness. Rise without permission. And when they finally see you, really see you standing taller, breathing deeper, carrying peace like a weapon, they will know, not because you told them, because you became the proof. Now, go. The world isn't ready for the version of you that stopped explaining and started conquering, but it's about to meet him anyway. I'll be waiting at the top, quietly. Picture this. Greece, around 50 AD. A young slave named Epictetus limps through the marble halls of a wealthy Roman master named Epaphroditus, a powerful secretary to Emperor Domitian. Epictetus isn't just any slave. He was born with a body already broken by life, and now he carries water, scrubs floors, and absorbs beatings like they're part of the weather. One afternoon, Epaphroditus decides to entertain himself. He grabs Epictetus by the leg and starts twisting slowly, deliberately, like he's wringing out a wet rag. The bone creaks. The ligaments scream. Epictetus looks his master dead in the eye, calm as a winter sea, and says, "You will break it." Epaphroditus laughs and twists harder. Snap! The leg shatters. Epictetus doesn't scream, doesn't curse, doesn't beg. He simply smiles and says, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" That smile wasn't insanity, that was sovereignty. From that day forward, Epictetus walked with a permanent limp, a daily reminder that a man can own your body, but only a fool thinks he owns your mind. Years later, when he was finally freed, he didn't run out celebrating. He opened a tiny school in a rundown corner of Rome and started teaching street kids, ex-slaves, and even senators who snuck in wearing hoods so no one would recognize them. No tuition, no fame, no social media posts about from broke leg to boss. Just one message, hammered home every single day. Some things are up to you, some things are not. Your leg, not up to you. Your opinion about the leg, entirely up to you. Your reputation, not up to you. Your character, 100% yours. Your wealth, your health, your fame, what people say when you leave the room, none of it is yours. But your judgments, your desires, your aversions, your impulses, those are yours alone. And no emperor, no master, no hater, no algorithm, no X, no diagnosis can take them unless you hand them over. Epictetus taught this while limping across a dirt floor to a 3-legged stool. No PowerPoint, no merch. No like and subscribe. One day a rich student whined, "My father is dying and I'm scared." Epictetus looked at him and asked one question: "Is it the dying that is in your power or your fear?" The kid blinked. Epictetus continued, "If the dying is not in your power, why waste energy on it? If the fear is in your power, why keep it?" Then he limped away and let the silence do the teaching. Another day, a young hothead stormed in, furious, because someone had insulted him in the forum. Epictetus said, "If what he said is true, why are you angry? If what he said is false, why do you care?" Boom. Mic drop on a clay floor 2,000 years before microphones existed. Epictetus never wrote a single word himself. His students did it for him after he died. But those notes became the discourses and the Enchiridion, the Stoic handbook that Marcus Aurelius kept in his saddlebag while fighting wars, that shaped men in Nazi prisons, that prisoners in Vietnam tapped through walls in code, all from a man who never owned his own body, yet owned his soul so completely that emperors couldn't touch it. Here's the part that will wreck you. Late in life, Emperor Domitian banished all philosophers from Rome. Epictetus, now old, poor, and still limping, packed one small bag and walked out of the city without a complaint. His students begged him, "Master, fight this, write letters, rally support, this is unjust." He turned, looked at them with those unbreakable eyes, and said, "If exile is what happens, then exile is what I accept. The only real evil would be complaining about it." Then he walked into exile and opened another school in a nowhere town called Nicopolis. Students followed him across the sea just to sit at the feet of the limping slave who had figured out freedom. He died old, poor, childless, and utterly free. No statue was ever built for him in Rome. No holidays, no Netflix documentary. But every time you choose not to react to an insult, every time you lose something and still get out of bed, every time life twists your leg and you decide the pain doesn't get to twist your soul, Epictetus limps through the F-teen room, smiles, and whispers, "Did I not tell you that you are unbreakable?" That warrior is the original quiet king, a man who never explained his limp, who never defended his poverty, who never posted his pain for pity points. He just lived the rules so completely that 2,000 years later, you and I are still stealing fire from his bones. So the next time life grabs you by the leg and starts twisting, remember the slave who smiled while it snapped, and answer with the same calm, terrifying certainty. You can break the body, you will never break the choice. Then limp forward if you have to, and build an empire no one can take. Because some men are born free, others have freedom beaten into them, and a very few to decide. That's you. Now go live like the leg is already twisting and the smile is already forming.